An office worker was left behind by his coworkers during an office retreat in the wilderness. A museum opens up an exhibition to nude visitors. And fighting sexual temptations? Well, play badminton, so says Hong Kong. These are the weird stories for Weird AF News, the weird podcast about the weird stories that we got. It's all weird stories on the weird podcast, Weird AF News. It's all weird. You're here for some weird? I got some weird for you. Come, step right up and get your weird. Step right up and get your weird here. Got your weird here, and I'm weird. An office worker survives after being left in the wilderness by his coworkers during an office retreat. A Colorado man survived a night on top of a mountain all by himself. He was injured, but he survived after being left behind by his coworkers during an office retreat. Well, that'll teach him to not take the last K-cup when he's making coffee and to not leave those unwashed dishes in the sink in the cafeteria. Take that, Barry. We left you for dead. Unbelievable. Rescue officials pointed out that although the guy's alive, this may lead to some, quote, awkward encounters at the office in the coming days and weeks. Yeah, I'd imagine that's the least of this company's worries. Some uncomfortable moments come Monday morning. Now, you better get some lawyers. This guy's probably going to sue the pants off you. Man, you can pretty much sue your employer in the U.S. for anything these days. If someone else just makes you uncomfortable by the way they look at you, you could sue them. How about when a whole group of your coworkers just leave you to die on a mountain? What do you want to... Come on now. Now, back into the article, we got some details. Let's unpack what actually happened here. About 9 p.m. on Friday, there was a report of an overdue hiker. They call it an overdue hiker, like it's a library book. That's very funny. It's a hiker that's stuck on a mountain at 9 p.m. at night, but they call it overdue. You don't want to be overdue in the woods. That's when the bears eat you. The bears love overdue hikers when they're all alone. The more overdue, the better. They also like hikers that are overdone and crispy as well, I understand. Barbecue hiker is what the bears really enjoy. Overdone and overdue, right in their mouth. The hiker was wearing all black on the standard route of Mount Shavano, which is a high mountain summit in the southern Sawatch range of the Rocky Mountains. This hiker was part of a 15-person hiking group that embarked on an office hiking retreat, with one group completing the summit attempts and a separate group ascending to the saddle and returning from there. When the subject summited at 11:30 a.m. and then turned to descend, he became disoriented. Okay, so we have the coworker that clearly nobody likes. They get to the top of the mountain at 11:30 a.m. This is over the weekend. Then he's disoriented. They found belongings left in the boulder field to mark the descent of the previous group having been picked up as they hiked down. This is not written. This article isn't written very well. Let me find another one. I really hate when these articles are written by AI. Okay, so he becomes disoriented on the mountain. Making matters worse, his colleagues descending the mountain ahead of him inexplicably collected belongings left in a boulder field to mark the path down the mountain. Okay, so not only did they leave him alone, they took the markings to find his way back. This sounds like attempted murder to me, but let's keep reading. It says, in the poor worker's initial attempts to descend the mountain, he found himself in the steep boulder and scree field on the northeast slopes toward Shavano Lake. The man, whose name and company were not released, used his cell phone to pin drop his location to his coworkers, who informed him that he was on the wrong route, instructed him to hike back up to the summit to get to the correct trail down. They just text messaged him. Nobody went out to get him. All right, you can tell how they feel about this character. Just before 4 p.m. local time on Friday, he sent another location pin drop. This is at 4 p.m. This is 4 hours later, to his colleagues that he was near the correct trail. Shortly after that message, a strong storm passed through the area with freezing rain and high winds, and he again became disoriented, losing his cell phone signal as well. When his colleagues didn't hear from him over the next few hours, they reported him missing to the county search and rescue department at 9 p.m., 8.5 hours after he started his descent. In like 5 hours, after his last signal to them and the storm arrived. How do you not immediately... I mean, these people. Boss, I think there's a lack of togetherness in our team. Well, what would make you say that? The weekend they tried to kill Barry? I'm just making this name up. They're not naming anybody or the company, which they should, because this company should be shamed. Yeah, I mean, they're going to struggle to get new hires, I would imagine, if they put their name out there. I mean, it's obvious that the sort of cohesiveness that you need in an office is just not, it's not there. I mean, unless they're all bonding over the group's shared hatred for the guy that they left on the mountain. And if anyone finds out that we left Barry, we could go to jail. So let's all agree to never talk about Barry's accidental disappearance. Team building, yay! Okay, back to the ending of our story here. Are you on the edge of your seat to find out if the coworker lived through the night? A search was launched, but rescue teams on the ground encountered freezing rain and high winds that hampered their hike to the Mount Shavano summit. The foul weather also made it difficult to operate a search and rescue drone in the area as well, which is something they use. They use aerial searches. They tried the aerial search in a different way, using a rescue helicopter. A crew flew several search patterns over the area where the lost hiker pin-dropped his last location, but found no sign of the man, leaving him to, sadly, spend the night stranded on top of the mountain. Rescue teams continued to search for the man into Saturday morning and summoned other teams from across the region to help out. The lost hiker regained enough cell phone service Saturday morning to call 911 and to report his final location, enabling rescuers to find him in a gully near a drainage creek, extract him, and take him to a hospital where he was in stable condition. What's the lesson here? If you happen to think that your coworkers do not enjoy your presence at the place of employment, do not go anywhere with them in a group setting, especially in the wilderness with very little cell phone service. A museum opens an exhibition for nude visitors. Nude people are a major feature of the newest exhibition at Marseille's Museum of European and Mediterranean Civilizations. And not only on the walls will there be nude people, the museum is allowing visitors to discover their relationship to naturism by viewing the works of art naked as well. Except for their shoes. They must wear shoes. They can't be completely naked. You have to wear shoes. In other words, they're sticking to the traditional no shoes, no service. You ever notice being naked with your shoes on, though, somehow feels just more vulnerable than when you have no clothes on, no shoes on, you're completely naked? Does anyone feel the same way as I do about this? Just something I noticed. Maybe that's just me. Okay, let's get some details about this museum in France in case you want to visit. It's called the Mucem, M-U-C-E-M, or maybe it's the Mucem. I don't know. The name of the exhibit is Naturist Paradises Exhibition, and it's being run in partnership with the French Naturist Federation one evening per month when the museum is ordinarily closed. Oh, so it's just one night a month. They let loose. They let the nudies take over the museum. I know they're not called nudies. They're called naturists. But I find it hard to call them naturists. I think, people that are fans of nature don't ordinarily just take all of their clothes off. So I'm going to call them something else. And I'm not going to nudie shame them either. They can do whatever they want, This being France, it's pretty common for people to just be nude. This is the impression I get from covering a bunch of nude-related stories in France. Visitors taking part are naked, said the museum, and the exhibit features 600 photographs of naked people, films of naked people, magazines of naked people, paintings of naked people, sculptures of naked people, and other artworks of naked people from naked communities, as well as public and private naked collections from France and Switzerland. In case you don't know, France is the world's leading tourist destination for naturists, a.k.a. nudies. It says because it's a temperate climate in the... No, that's not why. Come on. It's because it's a temperate climate. It's because the French are a bunch of freaks, man. They're a bunch of dirty cigarette-smoking pervs over there. That's what they're all about. There is more infidelity going on in France than any other country in the world, I'd bet. If it was about climate, there'd be more naked people than, I don't know, Polynesia. Hawaii would be like the naked capital of the world, so it's not the climate, whoever wrote this article. Now, it turns out this city, Marseille, boasts several dedicated naturist centers because of its Mediterranean climate. They're not the climate again with the climate. Asked whether it was obligatory for visitors to get naked for the once-a-month naturist viewing, a spokesperson from the museum said it was logical for those reserving tickets to be in some state of undress, if not completely nude, and anyone wanting to visit fully dressed during those hours might be considered a little bit odd and get some looks, they say. Yeah, well, one would think if you're buying a nighttime museum nudist ticket that you're going to go nude. If you're not, then you're a creep. You're probably just there to check out the other nudies, which isn't okay. You have to show your poor-shaped body as well. Your out-of-shape body must be unclothed as well. Did you ever notice that all these naturists have terrible bodies? I don't know what the deal is with that. Could you please have a better body? Somebody, can you imagine the French ones? Oh, they're even worse. I mean, I'm okay with the nude exhibits. It's just, everything is consensual. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. Just, I would expect the staff, to just wipe down the benches every 10 minutes if you could. That would be appreciative. Hong Kong has a strange fix for teenagers to fight their sexual temptations. Hong Kong's authorities have sparked controversy with some new sex education guidelines that suggest young people should focus on studying or hobbies such as badminton in order to avoid premarital sex and other, quote, intimate activities. Well, sounds like they're trying to tackle the age-old problem of horny teenagers. I tell you right now, it's those horny teenagers. Have you tried force-feeding them cornflakes? I heard that gets rid of the urges. Or maybe inculcation into the old Catholic Church. That'll do the trick, too. Something about having to go inside that confession booth and tell some strange man that you touch yourself really makes the urges a little off-putting. Okay, back into the story with some details. This was all by the Education Bureau, and they published a 70-page document which includes worksheets and teacher guidelines that emphasize delaying romantic relationships and sexual activity. It also includes a form for couples to define their boundaries. Here's a quote from the document. It is normal for people to have sexual fantasies and desires, but we must recognize that we are the masters of our desires and should think twice before acting and control our desires instead of being controlled by them. We are the masters of our desires. I am the master of the universe. He-Man. Okay. The new curriculum advises adolescents to suppress their natural sexual impulses. Yes, guys, because nothing works better than suppressing your impulses. We know how that always ends up being the best decision. Yeah, because when you suppress them, they just stay down there. They never manifest themselves in other dysfunctional behaviors, right? No. It's best to suppress, I always say. I come from an Irish Catholic family. We suppress everything. We suppress love, all the good things. They also suggest that the kids avoid media and publications that might arouse them. Yeah, good luck with that, too. Everybody's got an iPhone. Everyone is walking around with a database of porn that's pretty much free right now. All the teenagers are. Sorry to alarm you. They also suggest exercise can help divert attention away from, quote, undesirable activities. I'm just wondering why they're calling these undesirable activities when they're in the midst of a population shortage. Isn't that what's happening over in Asia? Most of these countries, China included, I mean, it's Hong Kong, but, it's kind of like it's China vibes, and they're always complaining about the population decline, and yet here we are trying to divert the attention away from these activities. Now, the curriculum here suggests instead of sex, try badminton, which is funny to me. Well, I don't know if badminton's a good idea. This is one of the few sports where you have mixed doubles. So now you got the boys and the girls together being partners. And then there's something involved called the shuttlecock. Maybe not have them all involved in an activity that involves something called a shuttlecock. Yeah, it's just my opinion. I mean, just the innuendos that are going to come out of a game of badminton. You know what I mean? Hey, why don't you whack that shuttlecock in my direction? I like the way you serve that shuttlecock, baby. Meet me on the badminton court in your white skirt. We ain't getting no younger, we might as well do it. I'm feeling you all the while, girl, when you're hitting that shuttlecock. Girl, let's just play doubles. I just want to play doubles. Meet me at the... Come on now, guys. Come on. Jagged Edge, who's with me? Who's with me on some Jagged Edge song parodies? Where are you going to get that? It's a white dude in the closet doing Jagged Edge parodies. That's what's up. Hey, everybody. I hope you had a nice evening, morning. I don't know when you're listening to this. This is the Thursday episode, so just FYI, tomorrow's Florida Friday. Gonna only do weird news from Florida, so please send me your Florida weird news from this week. You can do so in two different ways. You can email me, funnyjones@gmail.com, or you can put the link in my Instagram DMs, @funnyjones. It's @funnyjones. Do you got that? Are you writing this down? Okay. I'm so proud of you, you little horsey. Yeah. What else was I going to say? Do you want to support the show because you just made a crap ton of money over the last few months on NVIDIA stocks? It's a good thing to do with your money is to support this one-person media empire that we have here going on in Los Angeles, the Weird AF News media empire. Go to weirdafnews.com. That's what you do. And then you can join the Patreon or you can buy me a coffee. That's what you could do. That's what you do with your NVIDIA bucks. You know what to do. Why am I sounding like my Mickey Mouse all of a sudden? Hey, you know what you should do with your money? Your stock money? Your dividends? You should give me your dividends. I have way too much caffeine in my brain right now. Is it in your brain or is it just your blood? Is it your blood? It passes the blood-brain barrier, Jonesy. Don't you know anything about physiology? Shut up, nerd!